As some of you know, this past week was a significant week for me. I got an email somewhere early in the week saying from the Episcopal National Church that I had been elected to the Priests Golf Hall of Fame. This congregation doesn't know me like the 8 o'clockers, but golf has been an avid passion of mine all my life. Actually, this Thursday was a very significant day. On March 16th, 1963, I was ordained priest at St. John's Church in Stamford, Connecticut. I wondered over the last couple of weeks particularly, but then going back even a couple of years, what does it mean to be a priest for 60 years? And somehow I was led to an illustration by one of my mentors, Richard Rohr, who was a Franciscan priest who formed the Center for Action and Contemplation in New Mexico. And he described our lives in a way that makes a lot of sense to me, which I want to share with you this morning in hopes that it will resonate with you, regardless of whatever age group you're in. He said, think of your life as a container. In your early years, what did you put into that container that you thought was very important? And when I thought about that, my mind immediately thought, well, I remember when I wanted to get my college degree. I wanted to hopefully follow in the paths of my own parents and have a happy family. I wanted to continue to play golf at a good level. But I also was led into the ordained ministry through the ministry of the curate in my parish in All Saints Bayside in Queens, New York. As I thought about those decisions in the first part of life, what occurred to me was most of which were ego-driven. You know, I kind of said to myself, and perhaps you have, well, I would like to do this. I would like to achieve that. God, help me do this. Help me figure all of this out. And that's not wrong, but it's ego-centered. What do I think I should be doing? And then ask God to bless it. It was amazing, after reflecting on this for a while, I suddenly had the realization, you know, Dick, it's not what's so important to be a priest at your age. What does it mean to be a Christian? Think of that for yourselves. When I was younger, being a Christian meant you went to church every Sunday. You put your best clothes on. You followed a set of rules. Everything was sort of ego-driven, with the authority being the institutional church. But I realized, and a thought came to mind of something that our good buddy here, Rob, said to me actually about a year ago maybe. Oh, it was longer than that, before the COVID. But he said he was confronted after church one Sunday by some people who said, how come the teenagers aren't in church today? They should be here. And Rob said to them, you know, it's not enough just to go to church. We have to learn to be the church. And I've never forgotten that. Think about that. Think in your own life. What does it mean to be a Christian? What are the priorities? And so what happens is that if you begin to ask yourself, even a priest should ask him or herself, what does it mean first to be a Christian? Then how does your vocation support that belief? And in that sense, I think we begin to look at the container of our lives and see what we have put in and what we have not put in. And if you reach my stage, or if you reach what we call retirement years, what does it mean to be a Christian? And when I began to think about that, I got a little shook up because I went and reread the Sermon on the Mount. If you want a little reflection time someday, look at chapter 7 on the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew's Gospel. The things that Jesus did, which we are called to do, are not very easy. We are called to give. And we're called, finally, I think, to ask God first, what do you want me to do now? Not what do I want to do, because my ego drives me as it drives all of us, but what do you want me to do? And then I will ask your blessing on my trying to follow that out. So think about that for yourselves. What do you think God wants you to do now? One of the things that has happened in my family, my wife and I have gotten very involved in the Seacoast Village Project, which was started by Nancy Eichner, one of our parishioners. And its function is to make it possible for people who are aging to live safely at home by providing a lot of services, by providing entertainment and intellectual challenges in terms of lectures and hikes and things like that. It's something that many of you could do in your senior years. It would be providing something for someone else. So I want to leave you with that thought this morning. I think the analogy of container is a very helpful analogy. So think about it when you have some time. What have you put in your container today? What needs to be taken out because it's totally ego-driven? And for those of us in our senior years, what is God really saying to us today? And I think you'll find some surprises, because I know I struggled for a while when I didn't wear a collar every day, when I wasn't in charge of a parish. What did it mean to be a priest? I could still go out and play golf, but I wasn't celebrating communion. But as I learned, participating in small groups, particularly in the parish, was really helpful to me. And there are many small groups. And for instance, in the centering prayer group on Thursday mornings, what we say in that room stays in that room. We talk very seriously about our Christian journeys. Where are we beginning to understand ourselves in a different way? And what is that leading us to do? So I leave you with that thought. I'm extremely grateful that my last 21 years have been in this parish. And I'm so grateful that we have that young fellow up there who I think does listen to God, does challenge us to hear what God is saying to us, and gives us the support in so many ways with the organizations, with the fantastic staff here, the music, which I think is as good as you're going to get unless you go to Boston or Portland. These are all gifts that we are nurtured by. And then you and I are called to give back through our own ministries, through our own daily lives, what God has revealed to us as gifts of ministry. Thank you.